What's up, everybody, and welcome in to another edition of the Hoops Betting Hour. I am the big man on campus here on a Saturday, March 13th, 2021. It is Championship Saturday, and we got a lot to talk about on the Hoops card. Donnie Wrightside's here with me live. Donnie, it is a big day of basketball action. Let's get after it.
Bringing it the heavy guns, Jeff. As I look right now, East Coast time, we got games tipping off at 11 a.m., Jeff, and games tipping off at 11:30 p.m. tonight. A huge basketball card. And the good thing about this is we got plenty of time, Jeff, to hit each and every ball game today.
Yeah, a lot going on. It is a big day. The brackets will be out in, a day.
Couple hours, basically. Yeah.
24 hours or, not even, more than 24 hours. Like 40-ish hours.
Yeah.
But there's a lot to figure out, Donnie, until then. I mean, some of these teams still have two more games to play. There's got to be a semifinal and then a final. So, we'll crown some champions. It's always nice on Saturday. You get some of the champions crowned, the MAAC and the SWAC and some of those conferences. And then you got some of the big boys tomorrow with, the Big Ten and some others. So, great day. This is one of my favorite days of basketball of the year, Donnie. This day and then tomorrow. Lot to figure out over the next day or two. We're here and ready and prepared for you. Donnie, how was your night last night?
Very good. Enjoyed it. Loved watching a lot of basketball. Did a few things, as it came down the stretch. Wasn't able to catch, one of my favorite teams in the country actually pick up a W late at night with Utah State over Colorado State. They have another monster game today. So a lot of interesting things on the card. But the good thing is, Jeff, it feels a little bit better. Like you can, wipe it off and say, I think the show had a pretty good day overall yesterday, Jeff, if you want to fill the good people in on that. Yeah,
it was a good day, actually. Yeah. The first real good day that we had. You and I both hit our best bets with yours with the Alabama under, and then I had North Texas. I'll tell you what, man, that North Texas team can defend, man. They are really good defensively. I had some other good plays as well throughout, just with going over some things, and we'll go over that in the recap. But, yeah, a very solid day. Hopefully you had a good day. If you did, come on in the chat box and tell us. If you want to chat with us, you can jump on the stream and chat with us. Just hit the live chat option. You'll see it pop up. We are powered by Pickswise and presented by FanDuel. Make sure you're checking out Pickswise, all the great articles over there. Make sure whenever you get a betting line, it's at FanDuel. Donnie, let's get it going.
Yep, we got some coming up here, so welcome into the Hoops Betting Hour with Jeff Nadu. As Jeff said, also powered by Pickswise and presented by the FanDuel Sportsbook. If you're new to the show, if it's Saturday, hey guys, look, I worked all week. It was kind of tough. I want to get down on some college basketball. This is exactly the show for you. And again, if you do watch the replay, if you're watching live, the thumbs up, we really appreciate it. Even if it's a thumbs down, say, darn it, I bet the over in the Alabama game, even though Donnie wanted to go under, I'm going to hit that thumbs down. That is fine. Engagement is exactly what we like. And also, if you're watching live, thank you for joining us this morning. A lot more people will filter through over the next, 5 to 10 minutes here. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so yet. That's all we ask of you. The subscribers are going up, Jeff, each and every day. 30, 40, 50 more subscribers. Thank you guys for showing some love here to the channel and also getting down with both Jeff and myself. But let's not waste any more time today. We got an hour. As I said, we will hit every game on the card. So as we like to usually say, Jeff, hey, leave your questions in the chat box. Pretty sure we're going to get to each and every game today, but let's recap what happened yesterday. Michigan, little bit of anger between the two head coaches yesterday, but the one thing was clear. Michigan is a damn good basketball team, Jeff.
Yeah, I still don't know what that was about. I still I'm trying to understand it. I guess, Donnie, I did one of the whole, how when we bet on a game, sometimes it's not going well. We have to go walk the dog, as they say. I know you do that.
All the time. For
anyone that's not aware.
And it works.
For anyone that doesn't know, when I bet on a game, a lot of the time I do not want to watch it. I have just it's just rough, because just bad things seem to happen. But I actually had to leave yesterday. I had to go get a haircut, and I had Michigan. It was a play I liked, and Michigan is incredible, man. They had no business being up at the half. They couldn't shoot. Maryland couldn't miss. Dickinson was on the bench, and they were still up. Then the second half they just rolled. But yeah, I mean, Michigan is legit, man, for the 10th time. But I will say this, Donnie, Isaiah Livers broke his foot. He's not going to play. He's out for the year. You're going to see that come through. I'm not sure why that's not been reported by some of the big boys. I don't think you're going to see him again this year, and they're going to have issues with that. But Yeah, Michigan's really legit and really good. The question is how they're going to perform with no livers.
You know, you're exactly correct, because you're trying to go day to day on this, and not a lot of information usually available. Like you would see, like an NBA team would say, "Hey, you know, this guy's got an injury." Sometimes you have to get the report of what? Oh, look, he's dressed. He has a brace on. He's not moving around so well. Not sure if he's going to play today. Looks great in warm-ups. You have to read those tea leaves, because all the information that is out there in this information age, you have to use it to your strength. But getting back to one of your points where things are, you don't like to watch games that you bet. Yesterday, I had the Alabama under. So I check in early just to see the flow. Looked pretty good. Alabama hit the gas pedal. I said, enough. I don't want any updates on Twitter from like just scrolling through my timeline. Turn my phone off, but set the notifications, Jeff, on Mississippi's side, knowing if I didn't get a lot of updates from the Mississippi State Bulldogs Twitter feed, that meant they were getting blown out, which was a good thing. They didn't update all that much. And even at the end, when I saw the final score, I'm not a mathlete over here. I had to do the numbers in my head.
Yeah.
Yes, I was like, oh, my God, this game is absolutely done.
Yeah.
So when I saw the 85 come through, and the under 50 points, I was still doing like, did that win? Did it lose? It took me like literally 10 seconds to add it up in my head. I'm like, you know what? Winner when we move on. But me and Jeff are very quirky, as a lot of you are when you bet your games out there.
Yeah, I'll be honest, man. I was just hoping that at the half, because Michigan at one point, I think it was 36-24 they were down.
Yes.
Dickinson was out of the game with 2 fouls, and I'm just thinking, just get this to like be down 4 or 5. I go to the barbershop, Donnie. I walk in. I say, yo, Dom. I said, what's the score of the Michigan game? He goes, they're up 2. I said, they're up 2. Are you serious? He said, yeah, they're up 2. I said, beautiful.
And then you said radio silence after that.
Yeah, we actually just started talking about something else, Tiger Woods and stuff. And then I went home. They were up 10, and that was that. So, yeah, by the way, who is Mark Turgeon to call out Juwan Howard? I mean, what? Mark Turgeon, the guy who doesn't win anything, who has the most talent in the world and doesn't win anything. Why don't you shut up and sit on the bench and kiss the ring? Because Juwan Howard's moving on while you sit on, as at home as usual. Who's Mark Turgeon to talk to John Howard like that?
Yeah, I always like these things. You don't know who said what or who did what, but I got to say, like, the winner of I don't even know what happened, but Juwan Howard has a good basketball team. Firing his team up and his team seeing that's a boon going forward here. You know what I mean? Because they already had the lead in the game. He didn't have to put that on for antics like, hey, we need a comeback here. Like a coach gets teed up by the refs and then says, hey, I'm fighting for you guys. I thought it was a pretty good move there. I don't care what was said. I don't think anything probably was even said. Everybody gets heated in competitive situations. Best to move on. And yes, Michigan, Jeff, is moving on.
Big DGK says, it's not been announced Livers is out. Hey, listen, when I report it, it's true. He's out. Please credit, okay? Thank you.
I'll tell you who might be out in this one, Jeff, as we move forward to the SEC. And I wasn't watching a lot. I had a couple monitors up, and I caught this game at the exact moment that those elbows were blasted through a perfect two-piece, which knocked the kid out from Tennessee, which will have ramifications on today. Because I'm pretty sure in college basketball, Jeff, you leave the day before with a concussion. You're not playing today. I thought it was a terrible move. And I don't understand where I see some things on social media like, oh, it was just – I don't think he knew to connect on two elbows like that, to not understand the guy is behind you, like, oh, what did you want him to do? That's a ridiculous move. Glad Florida lost. Glad Tennessee's moving forward, but that does hurt Tennessee in their ball game today for sure.
Yeah, because he lose Fulkerson. I mean,
exactly.
Tennessee is a team that struggled to score as it is. I mean, any player you lose, this hurts. Yeah, that's a rough one from Payne, man. It was a lot of pain on that one. Yeah. I mean, Donnie, if you or I do that on the street, what happens to us? Like, we're going.
You're doing a bid. You know what I mean? Yes, you're doing a bid.
That's a rough shit right there. That was like rough stuff there. He's like, boom. Sorry, I got so crazy.
You got animated. Yeah, but look, Jeff's serious with that. Yeah.
No, but he almost knocked the kid out. The kid might have a concussion.
He dropped. He was out. He was five for about at least 3 seconds, Jeff. When you get hit like that, your body sensory just shuts down. His legs gave out. His head hit the floor. The thing hit him so hard. So I'm rolling around. I was like, I got to see this on instant replay again. Just a terrible move. Easy flagrant 2 call. Good on Tennessee for moving on. Obviously, they're going to the tournament, so maybe he gets that week to recover. But in college basketball, as opposed to the pros, they take these injuries a little bit slower. Just hope the kid recovers, they're able to get back in here in March Madness.
But this, I guess, I mean, you really can't – you're not going to ban him for the first game of the tournament, are you? I guess you could. Or, I mean, what do you do next?
Yeah, I don't know. What's the protocol for that though? It's not like a targeting rule. Maybe they have a targeting rule in college basketball. We got to sit out the next half. I don't know.
I'm not sure. It's a really kind of a weird situation. I don't know.
It's a terrible move. And if I'm the SEC, maybe you let the school handle it, but I don't know what you do. I thought it was a terrible situation to put him in. And maybe it's one of those, Jeff, where you like to say like an eye for an eye. Like if he's ready to go, the kid that got injured on Tennessee in the tournament, then the Florida kid gets to play. But if he has to miss a game, then the Florida kid sits a game, because I don't think it would be fair if they both went to the tournament. Florida kid's playing, Tennessee kid's out. Come on now.
Yeah, I don't know how you really approach that, because, are you going to ban him for the first game of the NCAA tournament? That's kind of rough. But he that was pretty graphic what he did. So.
Comes up on the screen here, Jeff. Would you wait for the bracket to be released before betting futures, or does it not matter?
Yeah, to be honest, I've had futures bet for months. I don't really bet futures after, I don't know, March 1st, really. I mean, I guess you could. I look, the best value you're going to get is at the beginning of the season, and kind of when people are down on teams, and you can kind of just jump in and swoop in and grab something. But yeah, I don't really worry too much about futures once brackets being released are just part of it.
It's interesting, though, but you do get some, like the perceived value of the futures once the bracket begins is because you'll know right away, like, oh, boy, they got a tough run here. That 32-1 ticket now doesn't look so good. Or that 32-1 ticket that I have now looks even better because so-and-so's not in my bracket. So there is some value that you could still get. But obviously, as we know, the value comes months in advance when you are projecting how this team is going to finish.
Right. And, I would definitely tell you, I mean, if you haven't done anything now, I would probably, because there are a lot of really good, like mid-tier futures, the 50, 60, 70 to ones where, but again, here's the problem that you have, Donnie, and you run into these issues. The books aren't stupid either, right? They're looking at the same bracket you are. Yeah. So if you think Oregon has value at 80 to 1, then the bracket comes out tomorrow and they have a really tough draw or a really easy draw, that number is going to go down. So you have to be able to foreshadow. Futures is all about foreshadowing what you think is going to happen. Like, Donnie, look at, for instance, in the NBA, the Phoenix Suns, before they got Chris Paul, they were 100 to 1 to win the NBA title. They get Chris Paul, it goes down to 40 to 1. So now if you were able to hear some foreshadowing, or maybe you knew something, you could have got a great price.
Yeah, the hard part in the tournament is you won't get a lot of foreshadowing, but your point is valid here, because also, Jeff, we like to talk about this many times. These lines are going to move the minute those odds are placed up on the board, the matchups are in. So you want to come prepared, which is great for tomorrow's show where we don't have a lot of games, where you can get set and say, look, here's value from what I'm thinking. Because if you set that number in your head, and I don't know, I'm just going to use Villanova just as a name off the top of my head, 20 to 1. And you say, as long as they're not matched up in Gonzaga's bracket, I think there's going to be value on them possibly getting to the Final Four. Those are the things that you have to process, because if you're waiting when the brackets come out, give me an hour to reassess this. Oh my goodness, Villanova went 20 to 1 to 40 to 1, or 20 to 1 to 15 to 1, and I was slacking over here. These lines move quick once they get out, and also move even faster, Jeff, on the actual lines that are released right off the bat tomorrow.
Yeah, if I were you, I would bet future right now. I would not wait for the bracket, because you can kind of figure out where a team's going to be placed and who they're likely going to play. If like Loyola, Donnie, is an 8 seed, they just are. That's where they are. They're going to play a 1 seed in the second round. Like that's where it is. So yeah, I would do it down, but futures I bet generally at the beginning of the year where you get the most bang for your buck.
Yesterday also, Jeff, in the Garden. I love the Big East. I'm so happy, Jeff, that UConn is back in the Big East, exactly where they belong. My other dream would be that if Syracuse just says, look, this ACC stuff isn't working out, and gets back into the Big East, exactly where they belong in the Garden. A rock fight, which was so much fun to watch. And truth be told, I thought UConn would win that game with the +1.5. Came right down to the wire. Creighton just, dug in more than UConn. As much as you see a lower scoring game that some people don't like, I thoroughly enjoyed that game. And the only thing we were missing from what we talked about yesterday, Jeff, was a rocking Madison Square Garden with fans. But I have a special affinity for the Big East. I really enjoyed it, even though I actually lost money on the game.
I'll tell you, Donnie, for a game that was played in the high 50s,
yes,
it was one of the best high 50s game I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was.
There was just, I'll tell you, Creighton's a maddening team to bet on, just with the turnovers, and it didn't seem like they could ever get the lead and keep the lead and get some separation. But yeah, really good win for them. I mean, I don't think they had any business winning it, frankly. But they found a way in the last couple of minutes to figure it out. But yeah, you're so right. It was such a great ode to the Big East. That'd have been a fun game to be at if you were up there. And that's when you look back at some of these games. It sucks, man, because that would have been rocking in there. With Zagorowski and with Book Night, it was well done. But UConn's going to be a tough out, man, in a week or so. Whoever draws them is not going to want to see that group because they give it to you. But Donnie, Creighton, they don't look like a team that's ever going to beat you, and then they just surprise you and get after you. And sometimes, like I said on yesterday's show, when it comes down to some of these games where you have coin flippy games, you have to go with your gut and what you think is the better team, right? And I just feel like with Zagorowski, I just think he's a little bit better than everyone else, and he was able to figure it out. But you're right, such a great game. What a great atmosphere, even without fans. It was a great game.
Yeah, it's Lloyd says it's wild to me the Big East let UConn come crawling back. UConn is a premier program, and also you still want that footprint in the Northeast, up in that Boston, Connecticut area. So a lot of it is business decisions. It was just a shame when the Big East was sort of falling apart here, and it was one of those where you didn't know who would survive. The credit goes a lot to the guys that stayed in and produced big-time basketball, like Villanova winning national championships that kept that conference elevated, because it very easily, Jeff, could have slipped into like an American conference or, something in that range, but they stayed up top and gaining teams. But football tears a lot of things apart just because the money of the packages from TV. And again, if we can get Syracuse back in the Big East, have some fun, because there's a resurgence. Who doesn't want to see UConn get good back in the Big East? Villanova get good. The Georgetown Hoyas with Patrick Ewing getting another big win in the Big East and now in the Big East final, trying to be a bid stealer. I love Big East basketball. Patrick Ewing and his squad moving on as well. But also, let's talk a little bit of smaller conference action here in New Jersey, down in Atlantic City. Same story, new year. Iona advances into the final. Fairfield's going to meet them. Look, if you're betting on the MAAC, you can watch this game like, man, I feel good. I'm up 10. And then 3 minutes later go, the team I bet on that was up 10 looks absolutely horrendous. But then again, Iona continues to move forward and cash tickets, and also now into the final. We'll see if Patino and the boys can get it done here.
Yeah, Donnie, I've talked glowingly about my early betting years with Ryan, one of my best friends. This was one of the first conferences we ever bet on.
Sure.
On Friday nights, they used to have games. Yep. It was that and the Ivy, and we used to bet on this all the time. This conference is the absolute worst, man. I hate this conference. You're so right. Like, you'll see a team like St. Peter's will be up, 12.
Iona was up 24 yesterday, Jeff, and it came down to like a last-second shot.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's the most wild conference. I hate it. I barely ever bet it. Fairfield's in the conference tournament final. That should tell you all you need to know about this conference. 10-16, Fairfield. I mean, they are just laughable at times. I mean, one of the worst offenses you'll see. Donnie, they're going to get crushed today. I'll tell you that right now. But by the way, Mike David's in here. He's saying Bonnie's VCU today. That's tomorrow, not today. Don't.
It's actually up. It's a good point you bring up. The FanDuel odds board
does
have some games tomorrow when you scroll down, so you see that as well. Like, oh, here's a nice little appetizer. Like, wait a second, you got to see the actual time where it says tomorrow on.
It probably should have been last Sunday, but for some reason they've waited a whole week to play the game, and it's tomorrow.
You wait the whole week to play the game. Somebody cashes a ticket and they go, hey, COVID positive test that if you played last week probably would have came up as well, and you could have sat out and just you're still in the tournament. So interesting doings here. It's all TV money. But the comment that we had earlier in the week, which made me laugh, saying they put the game on tomorrow because of TV. Trust me, I've watched every single championship game from this conference has been on TV. So it wasn't like there wasn't TV room last week.
Yeah, I remember that one guy. Yeah. By the way, a couple other things, Donnie. Somebody mentioned SMU, a tough season for them. Yeah, there's a lot of teams, Donnie, that have come back from COVID pause, and they just haven't been the same. I mean, some of these teams have gotten really punished this year with that. SMU is one of them. North Carolina Central is one of them. You look at Baylor.
North Carolina A&T, Jeff, punished because they're out of the tournament altogether.
Yeah. They're out of the tournament. Look at Baylor, Donnie. And Baylor's not been any.
Did you lose the big man on campus here? Are we on mute?
No, I'm still here.
Oh, I lost him. Sorry.
You got me? You got me? Yo, Donnie, you got me? Does anybody got me? You got me. Does the show got me? Baylor has not been the same team since that COVID pause. I'm telling you, this team is overrated. We'll get Donnie's mic back up there in just a second. Hopefully he can hear me. I'm kind of unaware of whether he can hear me or I can hear him. That's the joys of the live show, folks. You see all that's going on. You got me, Donnie? Great. Not ideal. We don't ever prepare for this kind of stuff, but it just happens. All right. Let me bang out some of these other things that we saw. How about Oregon State, guys? Oregon State is in the finals of the Pac-12. Another mess of a conference. We've got Ohio or Oregon State. Donnie, you in there? All right. This is sometimes the joys of coming on here. But yeah, Oregon State gets the job done, 75-64. Wow. And what has happened to Oregon? What happened to that?
Hey.
You got me?
Yeah, I got you, man.
Dude, what is up with the Pac-12 as well? Oregon State in the Pac-12 final, Donnie?
No, an interesting game last night because I sort of embarrassed myself. I was doing another show and I said, there is no way Oregon loses this game by double digits. And I looked at the final score and they lost the game by double digits.
Keep in mind, they were laying 9.5.
I couldn't. At the half, I thought there was value. They were down double digits. And that was my comment going, no way Oregon State wins this game by double digits. Oregon's going to make a push. And they never made one.
I don't think you heard me. Speaking of brackets, that Baylor team is overrated. Okay, I'm telling you.
Oh, come on.
They are overrated. What do you mean, come on? They've looked terrible since they've come back from the pause. They barely beat K-State, and they lose yesterday to Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's playing well, but, I mean, you're Baylor. You
Does anybody want to go up against Oklahoma State? I mean, what is the deal here? Buzzsaw, Jeff. Don't let Oklahoma State get in Gonzaga's bracket, Jeff.
Well, guess who they play?
Yeah.
Today.
Who?
Look at the camera. All right. Yeah, get those things up.
I agree with you there. By the way, getting through some conference tournament action and a little bit of technical. We're live on the air. Look, you got to come to play. Bluetooth gives out. You plug in. You keep the show rolling on here. But as we talked about conference tournaments and moving forward, there's another tournament, Jeff, that the good people want to know about out here. It's the Pickswise Capper Contest, a winner-take-all event that will be taking place through the March Madness College Basketball Tournament. 9 experts will give their best bets each and every day of the tournament. Now, we can't use Jeff's best bet in the tournament because it starts next week. But, hey, still cash is all the same. The expert with the most profit at the end of the tournament will win a $10,000 cash prize. The tournament features John Ralstein, Richard Phillips, Megan making money from the FanDuel Sportsbook, and the big man on campus, Jeff Nadu. There is one spot that's available. And I got to say, there's a spot available. So sometimes people, I'll never be able to win. If you get in, you got a chance to win $10,000 cash. Not like credits and not like, hey, in some point somewhere in some system. $10,000 cash prize could be yours. To enter, head over to the Pickswise Twitter, retweet the contest, and reply on why you want the spot. Something simple as, I'm better than the big man on campus. That's why I deserve that spot. It's that simple. There's a link below in the description. But I got to say, Jeff, we saw it yesterday. Some people were lining it up here at minus 1,000 as Big Man on Campus, the favorite to win this pick'em contest.
Wow, that's very kind. I don't know about that. There's some good people on that dais, but I will say I think I can win. Let me ask you, Donnie. Someone hands you 10 G's in cash. What are you gonna buy? You buying anything with that?
I don't know, like 10 G's. What would you like if I just got 10 G's? I don't know. Probably getting like some upgrades on some office, maybe a couple new TVs that I don't actually need, but that's what I would be doing with it.
Yeah, I'd give it all to the IRS, probably.
Exactly. Hey, take that 10 G's. Well, here you go. Here's a down payment on what were you gonna
what I have to
the end of the
year. Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
Why don't we get to some games here today, Jeff? Let's go. We got about a half hour. We got some awesome stuff to talk about. Did you want to go? Now, there's a couple ways we can do this here. It's a little bit easier because we should be able to get to every game. Do you want to go down in order of time? There's an 11 a.m. game.
That's
we can
fun.
go to the ones. All right, let's do that as well. So we take a look here in the America East Conference. UMass Lowell. Look, I bet this team multiple times in the past when some of these books didn't have any lines, but the FanDuel Sportsbook now expanding in the marketplace has these. Lowell versus Hartford, Jeff, 11 a.m. Some thoughts on the America East here?
Yeah, no one thought, no one thought these two teams would be here. I mean, mostly it's Vermont, it's UMBC. That's kind of what the norm in this conference. But you look at this conference, you have obviously the home gyms. It's always a cool atmosphere. It's 11 a.m. You're going to crown a champ by 1 o'clock p.m. I look at this game. It's kind of interesting. You have one team that is really good offensively, very transition reliant. Obadon Noel with UMass Lowell. They can put the ball in the bucket. Very good at getting to the line and creating really good offense. And then you have Hartford, a bring your lunch pail to work type of team that is going to defend you at a really high level for the whole shot clock. Tracy Carter, Donnie, a Philadelphia product. He's been at all sorts of different schools. Went to LaSalle, was at Marquette. Mm-hmm. He's been all over the place, but he settled at Hartford. He's got an opportunity to go to the NCAA tournament. Just a gigantic spot for both teams. This is going to be a great game. Two clashing styles. To me, I always, Donnie, go with the better defense. I think Carter's legit. I think he can cash in on Noel. And Donnie, look at one of the problems that Lowell have. They can't hold on to the basketball. You look at the game that Hartford beat them in this year. They turned the ball over, I think, 27 times. Just way too many turnovers. I lean with Hartford here. I think they get the job done at home. Wouldn't really have any interest in laying 2. I just want to kind of get the points and lay the money line. But if I had to play it, I'd play Hartford. I think they win this game. I'll take the better defense and the home team with the Hawks.
Let's get into some big boys here, Jeff. Right off the bat at 1 o'clock, Ohio State and Michigan going to tee it up here. 6:01, 6:02 on the rotation. FanDuel opens up at -6, -106, and that moves to -6.5, -106. And I know you're talking about some, prelude to an injury situation with Michigan. Doesn't look like the bettors care about that as that line pushes forward, but the total does drop, Jeff. 146.5 down to 144.5. Ohio State and Michigan today.
Yeah, I would have loved the 145, and I would have went under. I think a lot of folks are going to remember the first game these two teams played. Remember when, Donnie, was that Sunday where no one could miss? I think it was 92-87 the final. You're going to have a little bit different looking teams out there today. Kyle Young, he has a concussion. He ain't going to play today for Ohio State. Livers ain't going to play either. And when you look at Donnie, Michigan with and without Livers, they're 0.13 points per possession worse without Livers on the court. That's a big loss. That means Johns is going to have to play more. Austin Davis is going to have to play more. Not that they're not nice players, but they're not Livers. I think these offenses are going to be a little bit more stagnant. You're not going to see them shooting the way they did, I think, in the first game. I mean, neither team could miss a 3. It was just whap, 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 every play, every shot. I think these teams are a little bit better defensively today, get a few more stops. I think this game is probably 1st to 70 wins. I think it's a good game. I lean Ohio State as well. I think that's a lot of points, especially when Ohio State was right there in that game. They matched Michigan score for score late in that game. Without Livers, I think this is a concerning spot for Michigan. I think this is too many points. I was surprised to see this number bet up. I would lean with under, and I would lean Ohio State.
SEC Titanic battle today, 1 p.m. Talked a little bit about Tennessee. Might be a little short-handed today going up against a red-hot Alabama squad. And the bettors, Jeff, behind this certainly see an advantage in Alabama. Opens up at FanDuel at -2.5 as a favorite for Alabama. Now sits at -4.5. And also the over-under 137.5, Jeff, has now moved to 140. So lines on the move for the favorite and also for the total. Does anybody want to step in front of that Alabama offensive machine? We know both of these teams do play really good defense, but if you look at it, one team scores a lot easier than the other one.
Yeah. And one team scores a lot more than the other team and defends at the same level. So it's hard to go against Alabama here. And with Fulkerson out, I don't think people kind of realize John Fulkerson has the best offensive rating on Tennessee when you look at the numbers. Good rebounder, just a dirty work type of player. Gets down there and he's always going to be banging for rebounds. And that's one of the reasons he got injured. He's a tough kid. He's always going to be where the ball is. That's a big loss for a team that struggles to score like Tennessee. There's just not a lot of movement, man. They depend a lot on guys like Keon Johnson and Springer. There's just not a ton of movement there. And defensively they're good, but Alabama's better. Alabama's deeper. They're more dynamic. They're better coached. I don't think I'm going to bet this game, but I lean on Alabama. I want to keep buying into Alabama, and sometimes I don't. I kind of want to go the other way, but they just keep taking money from me. So, yeah, I think Alabama get the job done. I think Alabama is ultimately probably going to win this tournament.
Yeah, another low number, too, because you see that number move up from 137.5, talking about the total, to 140. Alabama can score. Alabama can play defense. The one issue that you're going to have in this game is when I looked at the Mississippi State game yesterday, did I expect Mississippi State to score 48? Probably not, but did I expect Alabama to run them up the flagpole? Probably not by that much either. When you look at this game, Tennessee's pathway to victories, we like to talk about, is not saying, you know what? Let's match tempo with Alabama and see if we can knock them down. Is there only way, Jeff, for Tennessee just to grind this out and hope Alabama's 3 balls don't go down? I don't see any other way that they can win this game. But then again, you're still looking at a line. The line's not 10, right? So they're giving them an honest chance. I just don't see it from Tennessee unless they play complete lockdown defense. But at the same time, Alabama actually has a better defense than Tennessee.
And see, the thing is, they actually tried to do that. And they actually succeeded, Donnie, in the first game they played. It was 71-63, but Alabama won. Alabama can play so many different ways now. They don't have to play just downhill, transition. Remember, Donnie, when they would score a ton of points and wouldn't stop anybody?
Correct. Different now.
They're totally different now. They're what Tennessee wants to be. I think, they're the SEC, they can stop stop you defensively, and they're really good on offense. Their guard plays dynamic. Yeah, Tennessee's an irritating team. I think they have the talent, but they can't seem to put it all together this year. It's been disappointing. I lean Alabama. I think they can win different ways. They don't have to play with transition. They can shut it down and win as well.
Jeff, talking lines and spreads here. Where are we getting these from? Of course, the FanDuel Sportsbook, and they got a really good program for you here set up through March Madness. New customers, Jeff, $1,000 risk-free bet when they sign up today. You can use it on any of the college basketball games or futures market throughout the month of March, including this week's conference tournaments, which are winding down as we head towards March Madness. Sign up using the link below in the description to claim that now, but also customers must be 21 and be present in one of the legal online betting states: New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Colorado, Indiana, Michigan, Virginia, Tennessee, West Virginia, or Iowa. See full terms at the FanDuel Sportsbook website. And as always, bet responsibly. And Jeff, we always like to prelude this into 11 a.m. There's a game. You don't have to bet it. Why? This game's all day. Sit back, listen to our best bets, cash these tickets. But FanDuel Sportsbook rolling on through the month of March Madness, Jeff.
Yeah, so much to bet over the next 36 hours or whatever it is. Just make sure you pace yourself, put yourself in the best spots, and do some homework, man. This is your money at the end of the day. Don't just bet to bet. I think that's one of the best things you have to learn as a bettor. Start to realize that if you just put some time in, put your money in the best spots, stop with all these different ways you're betting. Just find something that works for you and stick with it, and you'll be good.
No, absolutely. Let's get quickly through a couple of these games here. Morgan State, Norfolk State, Jeff, -2 on the board here at FanDuel as a favorite for Norfolk State, 144.5. Quick thoughts on this game if you have any.
Yeah, these teams have played each other a lot. I think these teams have played 4 times this year. I thought at the beginning of the year, Norfolk State is really good. I think defensively they're really solid. But Morgan, this is going to be, I think, a really low-scoring, drag-it-out, knockdown type of game. I lean under. I think it'll be a good game. If you're going to give me 4-ish points, what'd you say, 4?
2.5.
Oh,
two. Excuse me, 2. Norfolk -2.
Yeah, I thought you said 4. Yeah, 2's too small. I would lean. If I was getting 4, I would take Morgan. But I'm going to look to the final in this game. These teams have played so much; it's hard to really slot them out. I'll wait to the final. I think the game's probably low scoring though.
And we're going to talk about some best bets a little bit later. This game is coming up in the conversation. I got 2 games laid out right here, Jeff. And I know, when you got to give your best bet, you got to narrow it down. But this is one that's on my card right now with the big circle, as well as another game later today. So let's get to it. 609, 610, Cincinnati and Wichita State. Line opens up at 4, stays at 4, over under 144.5, drops to 143 even. When I'm looking at this game here, Jeff, I see with Wichita in conference play, I got the better offense. I got the better defense. I have the number 1 team in conference play at not turning the basketball over, being Wichita State, going against a team with Cincinnati's defense that doesn't turn you over. So you're going to get more shots, more legitimate chances. But also one of the things I like, it's a double-edged sword here, Jeff. Looking in conference play, Wichita State gets to the line more than any other team in conference play, and Cincinnati does foul. But here's the issue that comes into play here. 68% from the line in conference play for Wichita State. If they make their free throws, they will win and cover. I actually like it and will take the -4 here on Wichita State to beat Cincinnati. What are your thoughts on this game, Jeff? Bearcats versus the Shockers.
Yeah, I was a little, let's be honest. I don't know if that group should even be here. That was an ugly performance yesterday against South Florida. But, hey, as you know, Donnie, found a way. They won. That's all that matters. Here I'm a little intrigued. I think Cincinnati, that was a pretty solid win yesterday. I know SMU had their own issues, but I just worry a little bit about Wichita. They haven't been great against zones this year. I think if you can get them into a jump shooting team, I'm not as interested in them. But, yeah, rebounding-wise, I think Isaac Brown's done an absolute bang-up job with this group this year. The situation they were in and just the players that they have, it's not easy. I don't hate that play. I don't know if it's a game I'm betting, but you've been doing well with some of your best bets. I have no issue with that one. Cincinnati was awful during the season against the numbers, so I'm sure it'll jump into now.
Yeah, and when you're looking at it too, you're trying to factor in who's going to be winning, Jeff, in like the last 2 minutes when you see those 4-point lines. Got to make your free throws, but I know we are sticklers, and you talk about it a lot. You're leaning on something that's not an automatic. And 68% isn't dreadful, but when you see those 75, 76, 77% where those kids hit it, that means heading down the stretch, you're getting 3 out of 4 free throws in a 1-in-1 opportunity. You got to make those, and that's how you cover spreads at the end of basketball games. Let's get back to the Big Ten here, Jeff. 603, 604, 325 tip here between Iowa and Illinois. Opened up at 3.5, stays at 3.5. How about this one, Jeff? 155.5 as a total today. This is an interesting game to look at. Are we trusting the new Illinois regime down the stretch, now healthy and looking to really pave their path? Or does Iowa come up with an offensive gem to counter? Do we get points, no points? What are we looking at here?
Well, I think we definitely get points. Then again, I will say this, do we? Illinois has been – they've had some games where they've looked really incredible defensively.
Yeah.
I know it was Wisconsin, but that Saturday game against Wisconsin like 2 weeks ago was really impressive. They shut down Michigan. Ohio State didn't fare too well really either. Illinois is legit, man. I think they beat Iowa. I think, when you look at Iowa, they have some concerns with Wieskamp. I know he was kind of hurt last night. I don't think Frederick makes much of a difference. I think a lot of people will highlight that, but that doesn't make too much of a difference. Dosunmu is terrific. He should be the player of the year if there wasn't Garza around. And I think Coburn's playing at a high level, which when Coburn wants to play, Coburn cares, Coburn is very, very difficult to stop. And I think he could do some damage against Luka Garza. Donnie, you got to get Luka Garza. You got to get him involved in put your head down against him. He doesn't want any smoke. He is a laissez-faire kind of guy. He just wants to, be finessey around the rim, kind of like a Ronnie Cycli type.
Ooh.
Yeah, you like that one. That is Luka Garza. He doesn't want any smoke with nobody. I'll tell you what, if I'm Coburn, I start getting in his grill a little bit. If you get a technical, get a technical. Get him off his game a little bit. Worry him, scare him a little bit. I think you push him off his game. I think Illinois wins the game.
Gabe says Illinois looks like they are on a mission. We'll see if it continues today. But two really efficient offenses that are going to go head-to-head against each other. You're going to have some nice tempo out here. Who's going to make those shots? Because in conference play, Jeff, I always love to look at stuff like this. 40% from three-point range for Iowa. That is the ultimate, equalizer. If you're knocking down threes, there's not much the other team can do. So we'll see how it does play out here in the Big Ten. Back to the SEC, Jeff, a 3:30 tip. LSU and Arkansas. And this gets your attention. Why? The total in this game, 162.5 with Arkansas as a favorite, -3.5. 162.5, big man.
Yeah, it's high.
Woo!
But, both these teams, they're just it's kind of the similar situation. Downhill, get into the lane, get to the line. Both very good from the line.
Yes.
It's offense with these teams. But I'll tell you this, who's more likely to get a stop? Arkansas. Arkansas is a better defensive team with, Justin Smith around, and they're not great defensively, but they're better than what LSU is going to throw out there. We all know Will Wade is he's not the greatest guy off the court, but he's a good coach, and I know people love Musselman, but he's not a great coach on the court. I think Will Wade's got an advantage from a coaching standpoint. It's just going to be downhill basketball. But 162, you need a lot to go right in that type of game. You need 90 to 85 to feel real comfortable with it. And when you play that in a 40-minute college game, you need everything to go right. You need both teams to make a ton of threes. I have flip a coin on this one. I lean Arkansas, but it's a tough game.
Yeah, this can't be 2-0 at the 16:45 mark in the first half, and then you're just like saying I have no shot at it because you go a couple minutes without getting some elevated scoring. You see how those turn out.
What you need, Donnie?
Yeah,
you need at the 10-minute, like at the 12-minute timeout, you need this to be
21-20.
Yeah, 24-22.
Yep.
At the half, you need it 42-39.
Yeah, to have a chance.
41. Yeah, you need 80, but the half. If you can get 80 at the half, you're on your way. But the problem that you have here, Donnie, is in these kind of games, there's a lot on the line. So the last 5 minutes are your decider because you might get the foul game. But if this is a 10-point game, you're not going to get that.
Correct.
You're going to get longer possessions if it's a really close game. So you're playing with fire. Maybe a first half over. That could be interesting. What's the first half over in this game, Donnie?
Yeah, let me take a look here. Let's go first half of this game. It is 77.5. So you need 80 points.
There you go. I'm taking that.
Yeah, roughly. There you go. I like that, Pat. That's
I'm taking
good.
that. Over 77.
Yep, get some good flow. If they're hitting shots early, that game will continue. And it's just as the old adage goes, look, you can still have a huge second half. If you're not on pace in the first half, it's still tough to get it. You figure if you're on pace in the first half, you'll get the over, but you steal it. I see where you're going with that one. I do like it as well. Let's get back to the Metro Atlantic Conference, Jeff. 4 p.m. Iona. How about this one? -8.5. And yes, more MAAC-like here, a 130 total as opposed to the 162.5 that we just talked about. Is Iona cruising this game? I got to tell you, Jeff, I know Iona is the better basketball team, but this conference to me, how many games have you watched? Because it used to be the Monday was the championship game in the MAAC because they used to play it a week ahead of time. But obviously with the COVID delays, they waited to the last possible moment to play the game. It seems like it always comes down to the end, the final 2 minutes here. Does Iona run away with this one? Win it by double digits?
They should, but I'll tell you this. I think Iona's fascinating because we talked earlier about Alabama and how, Donnie, for years they were downhill and they couldn't stop anybody.
Yeah.
That's Iona, too, for years. Under Tim Cluess, they played no defense, and it was really good guard play, and it was
one big that was like 6'8" who could dominate down low, but great
guard lineup.
Yep,
yeah,
sure.
84-80 every game, right?
Yes.
They're totally different now. Patino's a defensive coach. You got to play defense. I don't think Fairfield will score either. I think this is a sneaky under probably. I think this is where Fairfield's luck runs out. But Donnie, I said in that St. Peter's game yesterday, I think you're lucky if either team gets to 55. One team didn't even get to 50. So yeah, I think this is an ugly game. What do you have in a total? I didn't hear it. I
got a total in this game of 130 even.
Yeah, that's a bit high. I thought it'd be like 126.
That's like 65-55 feel, right? So right around that odd number.
60-49?
Yeah, exactly.
I could see that.
No doubt about it.
This is an ugly game.
Yeah, the winner goes and punches their ticket. But again, it used to be in the past too because it's a down league for the MAAC this year because usually Ryder's up there playing good basketball, Monmouth's playing good basketball, as well as Iona, and maybe get like a Manhattan.
Siena.
Exactly. This is one of those leagues that doesn't feel like if it gets into the tournament, because sometimes when we look at these smaller leagues here, senior-laden teams, they're the ones that win this conference and can compete, not win a game, but cover the spread in the first game. This doesn't have the feel for me as those Iona teams we usually see go to the tournament, Jeff.
No, it doesn't. And the conference this year is one as far as coronavirus, I don't know if this conference had a worse kind of season. A lot of pauses and stuff.
Patino's taking his words back too, Jeff. Patino didn't want to play this season, and now they're going to win the MAAC and say, "Hey, I'm glad we had the fortitude."
I wish someone in. I wish a reporter at the end of it, like if they win tonight, Donnie, at the post-game press conference, I stand up and say, "Hey, Rick, how you doing? Jeff Nadu, Pickswise. Are you happy you didn't cancel the season like you wanted to at the beginning?"
And what changed? Was it because your team's good and has a chance? What changed, Rick?
Of course it is. That's Rick. All he cares about is Rick.
Yeah.
By the way, is his son Richard fired yet? Maybe he could be on the bench for this game.
Exactly. You can be a consultant right away, I believe. There's no
liaison.
Exactly. Yep, consultant stands off. Not on the bench, but he's helping him out in the video room.
Doesn't Richard Pitino come across to you, Donnie? It's like, you ever see a movie and it's like you have a dad that's like really powerful and rich, and like he has this like son that's just he's just a weasel. Like,
yeah, it was almost like it came with the territory. Because how many times did you watch Minnesota games, Jeff, in the past couple of years? Rick Pitino was in like the second row behind the bench, and they always would go to like, oh, the dad's there. Maybe they're looking at each other. Hey, Dad, what should I run? Should I run a 1-4 high set here? Oh,
yeah, no, I know. It's so funny how like he just looks like that weasel son that's like gets everything because his dad's who his dad is,
Early on a Saturday morning, Jeff, over 200 people currently watching the show. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for the subscriptions, because they are going up as we are saying it. We can watch this ticker here. Awesome stuff as we move down on this list. 6-11, 6-12 here, Jeff. Memphis and Houston. Not too long ago, we saw them almost take down Houston, but a long three-pointer at the buzzer gave Houston a victory. Now we come back today, low over-under, 132.5 and a -7.5 as a favorite for Houston. Was that a blip on the radar, that Memphis-Houston game, or is that much more of what we're going to get today? And you're going to lean on the points, Jeff, with Memphis.
Yeah, Memphis is tough, and they're really tough. They are so good defensively. They're better than Houston defensively, in my opinion. Obviously, Houston has a little bit better of an offense, of course. This number's adjusted, though. Last Sunday when they played, it was 10. Now it's 7.5. I still like them. I don't like them like I did that game, but this is their last opportunity. Memphis really has to throw the kitchen sink at Houston. I worry, though. I hope this isn't one of those games where they hang around. I'll tell you what I would probably do. I would lean first half in this game over full game. Okay. I got a feeling, this is probably going to be pretty close for at least the first half or the first 30 minutes. And then the wheels might fall for Houston or for Memphis against Houston, where they just kind of wear them down. First half's probably 5, 4.5. I don't hate that if I had to play it, but it's a tough game to bet, in my opinion.
Let me take a look at that first game where they played here, right? As we take a look at shooting, we know Houston is an elite shooting squad, Jeff. From three-point range in their first game that they played, that close one, 67-64, 28% from three-point range. That's got to change today. They are an elite shooting team. I think it does. Memphis
is the second best three-point defense in America. They are really – I think that's just what Memphis does, Donnie. They are really good on that end. They're to me, the best defense teams in the country are Memphis and Loyola. I think they're both 1-2 or 2-1. They're solid, man. Really good.
Now, how about this angle here from Houston? Because, again, they're a good basketball team. They're going to do some damage here in March Madness coming up. But you see the MO with their games, Jeff. Either they hang around, or when they win, they just blast you.
The thing I don't want to see in this game is they jump out like Illinois did yesterday against Rutgers, where it's like 32-17 or something. Like that's if that happens against Houston, you're done. Like it's over. And that's what I do worry about here. And that's why ultimately I don't want to bet, because it's either they blow you out or it's close. And there's not going to be a kind of this isn't going to be an 11-point, 8-point game with 4 minutes to go. I think it's either going to be big or little. First half, I lean. I'll just kind of hope that it's not 32-19 at some point.
No, I agree with you there. It's a good one to watch, and it's so fun. Like when we talk about, early in the week, you're getting the lower level conference teams playing. Now everybody is stepping up in class, and it's a shorter card, so you can spend more time on it. It's great stuff to talk about.
When you take a dog, you have to ask yourself, Donnie, can this team actually win the game?
Correct.
I have some question marks on whether Houston can or if Memphis can actually win this game. But it is their last stand. If they can somehow win this game, that vaults them right onto the bubble. So,
as you were saying earlier, Jeff, all right. 6 p.m., 6:15, 6:16 on the rotation, Oklahoma State and Texas at the FanDuel Sportsbook. They open up a 1.5-point favorite towards Texas, even though that buzzsaw Oklahoma State is here. Now, Jeff, -2.5. So one of those where the public, is, wait a second, Oklahoma State took down Baylor and they're getting points, big man. Talk to me.
Yeah, this is stone cold Texas play. By the way, Donnie, it was hard because we didn't have lines for every conference tournament, but I remember someone telling you to get on the Longhorns at 6-1 to win the title. And Donnie, we are just going to sit back and watch this one. But I will tell you, as far as the number, Texas is going to win this game by 5+. Donnie, last night I heard a stream of a certain company.
Yeah.
And I heard a certain someone say, I love Oklahoma State tomorrow. I heard that. I said, perfect. Bingo. Ding me. Texas. They win this game. They're gonna get the job done. I just think they can match Oklahoma State. I think they're laying, and it really is just about the public. The public is falling in love with Oklahoma State, and if I'm stubborn for not betting them, so be it. I thought they were a good bet yesterday. I thought there was too many points in yesterday's game, but I think Texas is really good. I think on paper against a lot of teams, they're more athletic and they're just better than. I think if they just the concern you have is some of the young kids on it. Like Greg Brown had some sort of like hissy fit on the bench. I don't know what that was about. I think if they are in the mindset that they want to play and want to win, I think they can beat any team in the country.
How about this one? Thoughts on the over in this game, Jeff? Pace, not pace, tough one to try to figure out. We're sitting at here at FanDuel 144.5 in this one here.
Yeah, it seems about right. Probably mid, 72, 71. Like a game like that, I feel like it's a tough one. Total, I don't have much on. I'm going to lean with – you could have got 1.5 up until this show started. It's now up to 2.5. This is a stone cold Texas line. Donnie, we talk about stone cold lines all the time.
Yeah, we do.
Stone cold Texas line.
No, because you have everything going in your favor. Say, wait a second here. Like the public. And look, I'm a basketball fan. I'm watching Oklahoma State do things that are outrageous right now. And I say, why does the train end up stopping here? So normally you would see that line and say, it's going the other way. But, the betting percentages or whatever, Oklahoma State is getting more money and probably more bets at this point, and that line shifting in the other direction. Be interesting to see that one play out. So.
And that's the thing, Donnie. I'm not – like 2.5 is the last stand. I wouldn't go above that because I just, from a number standpoint, don't want to do it. But I'm telling you, I think Texas probably win this game by 10. Like, I think they win comfortably. And I think it's like, oh, no, Texas is really good, and they were able to even get through it with that Shaka Smart as their coach. So, why is this number going up? Ask yourself that as a gambler. The whole world, people are looking at this waking up. Like I saw someone say they just woke up.
Yes.
They're scrolling down.
Wait a second.
A 2.5 point dog. They just beat Baylor yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on Texas.
All right, let's keep moving here. As one of the best songs of all time, Jeff, is Return of the MAAC. Today, we have the return of the SWAC. Texas Southern, Prairie View, -2 favorite Prairie View. Any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it actually, before we go into this is funny. I want to bring this ridiculous statement up by Donnie Rightside involving Return of the MAAC. Yep. Okay, so Donnie grew up, when were you born, Donnie?
77.
Okay, so you grew up in the 90s. That was like
90s
late 80s, 90s. Yep. Donnie actually had the nerve to say this ridiculous statement. He said that Return of the MAAC, didn't you say it was the most popular song ever or something?
Top 5 song.
Yeah, you said it was more popular than Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana, which is a wild statement considering Smells Like Teen Spirit has like 20 million views on YouTube.
Nah. Real G's no.
Well, I'm not saying they don't, but it's like everyone knows Nirvana. Rappers know Nirvana. The country, everybody. Nobody knows who Mark Morrison is.
Yeah, but Mark Morrison got a Google commercial, Jeff. That shows the dominance of Return of the MAAC.
I'm just saying, I think Smells Like Teen Spirit is a song everyone knows, and Return of the, I guess that is too, but I don't know. I don't think it's more popular. Nirvana is pretty popular. But
who's more popular today, Jeff? Prairie View, Texas Southern. You know these teams.
Yes, I do. Well, I'll tell you what. It's not ideal for Prairie View, though. They beat Texas Southern. The first game they played, it was, I think one of the teams coming of a COVID pause. It was a pick'em game. Prairie View won the game 77-75. It was a really good effort by Southern. Jeremiah Gambrell is not going to play today for Texas Southern. That's a big loss. He's one of their better shooters, one of their better players. I got to tell you, I think Texas Southern gets the job done. I don't love fading Prairie View because I think Cam Mack's the best player in the SWAC, but Texas Southern is playing absolutely excellent basketball. They have one loss since mid-January. You could say Mack's the best player, but Michael Weathers is just as good, the Miami, Ohio, and Oklahoma State transfer. I like the bigs. I think they can match up pretty well with Prairie View. I'm going to lean good old Mike Davis and Southern here. I think they win the SWAC. And as usual, go back to the title, the tournament. Go Mike Davis. Texas Southern wins this game, I believe.
Interesting stuff as you go, because again, there's angles on all these games, and I see people in the chat box say you don't have to bet each and every game, but some of these lower level conference games, they're the ones that the bookmakers don't pay as much attention to. And if you can get a good number that you like, certainly be able to fire on it. Let's get back to the Big East, Jeff. 619, 620, Georgetown and Creighton. Huge line here, because if you see Georgetown playing with momentum, another one of those lines here, we see it open up at -8 at FanDuel. It now sits at -9. Can Creighton win this game by double digits, or is this one of those games where they got to take a deep breath after beating UConn, figure they can still beat Georgetown because they are the better team than Georgetown, but does Georgetown put up a fight and keep this within single digits?
Yeah, the price seemed a bit high, didn't it?
Yes, it does.
But I think here's my issue with Georgetown. If the threes aren't going down tonight, how do they score? I mean, I think Creighton has shown some real strides defensively. I thought they were really good last night at times against that really solid UConn team. I don't know if Georgetown could stop Creighton. I feel like this is the opposite of what I think, kind of going against what a lot of people think again. A lot of people are going to see Georgetown, it's too many points, and Creighton beat them 63-48. I mean, they completely shut them down when they played this season. I think it happens again here. I think if Georgetown can't make threes, it's game over. I think Creighton this game might be close by halftime, and then they kind of pull away and win by 10 here. I'm going to lean with Creighton. Not playing it, but I'll lean Creighton. I think they win by 10.
Ohio Buffalo back to the MAAC. This is one of those games where Ohio is playing really good basketball down the stretch. But Buffalo, to me, Jeff, is the pedigree program here. And I'm seeing a 2 that goes to 2.5, so moving in the right direction. I still like Buffalo here. I think when the stops need to be made, when the tempo needs to be there, the team that's used to being in this position, I'm not taking anything away from Ohio. They have a really good starting 5. But when I look at Buffalo overall as a team in pedigree, that's the way I want to go. I see Buffalo winning this basketball game. I would lay the 2.5 here. What are your thoughts on this one?
I agree. I think Ohio is kind of a gimmicky team. I will say it was impressive winning yesterday. Donnie, let me ask you. I had Toledo's team total yesterday, 78.5.
Yeah.
With 5 minutes to go, they had 56 points. Do you think that won or lost?
OT, right? Yesterday?
No, they scored 80 in regulation. Yeah. Somehow the team total came in. I don't know how it came in, but it came in.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ohio's impressive, man. They don't stop anybody. I think this is where it runs out for them because Buffalo is really good defensively. They're going to bang with you down low. I don't think at the rim, I don't think Ohio can stop Buffalo. I lean as well with Buffalo. By the way, I gave you Creighton as well that they were going to win the Big East, so that's in play as well.
They are. I think, and I certainly think they do, because with that Villanova, you don't have to battle Villanova anymore, and they are the best team. And
this is the best matchup you could ask for if you have Creighton to win the Big East.
No, certainly. Montana State, Eastern Washington, Jeff, -7 at FanDuel, now up to 7.5 at FanDuel. Over-under dropped a little bit, though. Opened up at 150, now sitting at 148.5. Montana State, Eastern Washington, quickly here.
Yeah, Eastern Washington just punished Montana State in both games this year. Montana State just couldn't stop them. I don't think they can stop EW. EW's going to the tournament.
Next up here, Georgia Tech and Florida State in the ACC. Florida State with a nice win over UNC. Pulled it out down the stretch. Sloppy game, though. But, hey, Florida State was off a while. A win is a win, playing against a UNC team that was playing well down the stretch. Now they get Georgia Tech off of their pseudo-bye. Over under 146. Line opens up at 4 at FanDuel in the favor of Florida State. Now sits at 4.5. Is Florida State just too lengthy, just too deep and better? Or is this where, hey, you can't take out of context. Georgia Tech has played very well down the stretch, but when I look at a conference tournament game, I want the athletes. I want the team that's deeper. I like Georgia Tech. I can't see them beating Florida State. I can't bet them. I just can't.
I hear you, but they beat them already. And
I understand. I understand.
They didn't have Bubba Parham either, who was a good player for them. I think I agree with you. I think they're just happy to be there, I feel like, but they did beat them already. So, this is a pass for me. I have no interest in this game.
It is. It's a close one, but as I look, I say, you know what? I think that's an 8:30 start, so you got some plenty of time today. 2 more games will go over. North Texas and your boys, Western Kentucky. I saw the tweets. Western Kentucky always fades down the stretch in the conference tournament. Now, is this their year? Look at this. Open up a -1 for North Texas. Flips over to Western Kentucky as a -1. A 125 as a total. Rock'em sock'em robots down there today.
It's 125?
125 is the live total at FanDuel.
Last night it was 128. This is a stone.
It was 128.5. Yeah, down 3.5 points. Yep.
I had North Texas yesterday. They are elite defensively. They're just stifling. They don't give you anything. Every loose ball, they you get nothing easy against North Texas. North Texas is going to beat West Kentucky today. I'm going to call that right now. This is going to be my best bet again. I'm going back to the well with North Texas.
Best bet. Go ahead. Yeah. Let it go.
I'm going back to the well with this group. I think Zachary Simmons can match Basie down low. Basie's a good player, but Simmons is a good player in his own right. I watched North Texas the whole game yesterday. They had their bad shooting day yesterday. I don't think, when you could prepare yourself for La Tech, with La Tech, that's a good primer. La Tech is really good defensively as well. Mm-hmm. I think they're a little softer defensively. I don't think West Kentucky is a team that I just think they fold against a team like North Texas. I'm going with my gut. I think North Texas with McCaslin's the better team. And I like Hamlet at the point guard. He didn't have a good game yesterday. I think he figures it out today. I'm going to take the Mean Green.
Mean Green again. See, I like that too, because most people say, like, no doubt about it, Jeff's going to take Western Kentucky. Have the ability, even though you have an affinity for the team, if the money is on the Mean Green, you got to go with it, sit back and watch it play out. And it's funny, with a great segue. We didn't plan it like this the last two games, but my game of the day, Abilene Christian and Nicholls State, which, yes, those two teams are playing basketball in the Southland. Somebody's going to punch their ticket into the tournament. Both these teams are very good. And it was hard for me to decide between Cincinnati and Wichita State or this one. I'm actually not even going to go with a side in this game or a team total, Jeff. I'm going with the total over. Before the show, I got it at 143.5. It's already on the rise at FanDuel, showing 144.5. And depending on where you're shopping at, maybe you can get better. But specifically looking at FanDuel, it's on the rise. And I think it's the right move here. Abilene Christian is an elite defensive unit. But when you take a look at both of these teams, to me, number 1 and number 2 in conference play, forget about efficiency, just the two best teams on offense. Tempo is going to be there, Jeff, from both sides. Mm-hmm. When you take a look at Abilene Christian, the ability to play defense, but also score, you saw it last night against a Lamar team that tries to slow the game down. It just did not matter. 14-2 Nicholls State in conference play. 13-2 Abilene Christian. They haven't played yet this year due to COVID, which is great. They don't know the plays. They don't know how the tempo is going to run. They don't know, like, hey, would they like to go down low in this situation? They're going to meet for the first time today, and I think the game is going to be close. So if I need the extra points, Jeff, at the end of the ball game, the last 2 minutes, I'm going to get fouls. I have tempo, two good basketball teams. I'm not looking at 155.5. We're in the 140s here. I'm going to make my best bet today after I took an under yesterday for a game. I'm going to take an over today, Jeff. Abilene Christian, Nicholls State over 143.5. I do think they score more points, so 144.5 currently sits at FanDuel, but I'm going to grade it at the 143.5 that I got it just before the show. We'll see how it turns out. But how about that, Jeff? We had to wait to the last two games on our card, 9 o'clock and 9:30. So you know what that says? Sit back, relax, get the appetizers out there, bet some basketball in the afternoon. Let me and the big man come in at night and clean up some shop for you guys.
Yeah, and you said it best with the efficiency. These teams can score, and the pace is there. I mean, Nicholls runs the fastest offense in the conference. Najee Garvin is a really good player for them. They're just a really good offensive team. They've been impressive. They've kind of been waiting in the weeds, and I'm not surprised they're here. ACU just seemed like the de facto team all year. Yes. I think it's a great game. I like your thought.
Both, my theory, my thought process behind it, Jeff. Both of these teams should approach the 70s, which does what? Gives you a chance at the total. That's the way I look at this game. I think it'll get there that way.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more.
Look at that, Jeff, all the way through and out. We actually went an hour, extended time. We went an hour and 3 minutes, but how about this? Jeff, you didn't talk about Oklahoma State. Jeff, you didn't talk about LSU. We talked about the whole card today, man.
Yep, started at the top. Jamal Weir about UMass Hartford. Yeah, we just go back to right at the beginning, man. We talked about it. I gun in my head, I take Hartford. But let's just wrap up, Donnie, with what we're both playing today, what we like with the best bets, and we'll get on out of here. We are back tomorrow, Sunday.
Early.
And we'll go over some of the just some. I don't know if it'll be an hour show because we don't have that many games, but we'll go over all the games and we'll go over the
who's in, who's out thoughts. Yep, sure.
Yeah, wait, Donnie, one thing real quick. Did we miss a game or no?
No, tomorrow, Loyola, Maryland, Colgate is tomorrow at noon. Somebody had asked
that in
the
I'm
chat
saying,
box here.
I think we missed Oregon State, Colorado.
I don't think it was lined up yet on the board there for it. So
yeah, well, I lean Colorado. I think this is where the magic runs out for Oregon State. No, I don't think they're going to steal a bid. No. But as Donnie said, there wasn't a line. Also, Grand Canyon, New Mexico State. I like Grand Canyon. I don't know why they're an underdog today. New Mexico State won last night. They might be coming together at the right time, but Grand Canyon beat them twice this year already. I think Grand Canyon makes it a third time as well. So we did go over every game now.
Yeah, also Utah State, Jeff, and San Diego State. Close game that we're taking a look at. I don't have a line on this just yet. Let me just update FanDuel here in just a few moments. But these are another two good teams here. Utah State inside-outside game, healthy as they head down the stretch. Big win last night. But I have to say, the pedigree and this the same way I look at like a Western Kentucky, where I know you like that program. I love Utah State. Utah State's in the tournament already. To me, though, Jeff, even though Utah State has been dominant down the stretch and has beat San Diego State twice, I still think San Diego State is the better team today. Do you have any thoughts on that game quickly?
This is a stone nuts. Go with the better team. Matt Mitchell didn't play in one of the games that they played.
-2, by the way, San Diego State in this game.
Totally. Yeah, San Diego State hasn't lost since that game. 13 straight games for San Diego State. They are very good. They're a future I would highly recommend in the NCAA tournament. I think they win as well. Utah State's good, but I think SDSU gets some revenge when it matters most. Down, if we remember as well, Utah State beat them last year, if you remember.
Yes.
Or 2 years ago. When was it? Sam Merrill beat them. When Sam Merrill was at Utah State. So, I like San Diego State as well. Let's wrap up with our best bets, Sonny. My best bet today is North Texas. On the money line, they're going to beat West Kentucky. I also do like that Missouri or that Arkansas LSU first half over 77. I think that's a good play. 77.5. I think they're at 80 by the half. Donnie, what are you on today?
Yeah, close call for me again. So we whittle it down. So I'm still going to be betting a couple games today, but I just missed out on my card. I still do like Wichita State, the -4. But my best bet, again, nightcap here, me and Jeff. Jeff's going to tip at 9. I'm going to tip at 9:30, so we'll be watching late. I'm going Nickel State, Abilene Christian over 143.5 in the Southland tonight. And again, we could pick bigger conferences like I did yesterday with Alabama, but if the money is right, I'll dip into the lower conferences and cash these tickets here with FanDuel. Hoops Betting Hour with Jeff Nadu, powered by Pickswise and featured by what? FanDuel Sportsbook? Of course. So we are here ready to rock and go, Jeff. Give them something, leave them with something. What's the deal?
We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, 9 o'clock a.m. Monday, brackets are out. Going to be a fun couple of weeks here. Plenty of basketball still to go. Good luck today on all your wagers. Thanks for watching the Hoops Betting Hour. I am the big man on campus. He's Donnie Rightshead. We'll see you tomorrow here on the Hoops Betting Hour.